I was in the UK. Musa calls me saying we got hacked. I didn't sleep that night. I was like, what? We got hacked. We have to start everything afresh. I was like, what?
Oh no. No.
At that point, I remember I started doubting. I was like, is it really worth it?
One person asked me, how do you guys get the funding to start your podcast?
We had over 50 companies listed down that we thought of. If we do this, everyone's gonna sponsor us, not knowing how difficult it is. I remember we kept on pushing to get sponsors. If we go, no, and
A lot of people confuse between having a logo and having a brand. Who think your logo is a brand, which is not true. Hello, welcome back to Make Your Own Destiny podcast, the podcast that inspires you to shape your future. And today, we are going to dive into the topic that is very close to our hearts, and that's how to start a business from scratch. As you guys know, we started this podcast from scratch. We started Connectors Club from scratch. And we also have our personal businesses that we have started from scratch. You might be in a different line of business, but as you know, business principles are the same. We just differ on what kind of business we're all doing. So stay all the way to the end. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot in this episode because we're going to discuss different stuff such as how we got started, how we got the capital to start, how we're managing our teams, how we are delegating different kind of tasks. So if you're someone who wants to start your own business, or you have a business that you have started and you're looking for inspiration, or you're looking for people who are on the same journey as you, stay all the way to the end. I'm sure you'll have a lot to learn in this episode. As always, like this video, subscribe if you haven't, because we're going to drop massive value in the future as well. So I'm with my co-host Monty here, and we're going to dive into this topic together. Monty, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir. It's a good day today.
I know we always talk about this. How did you first start your first business?
I think there's no need to go far.
Yeah.
I think we should just talk about how MOD Podcast turned into MOD Media Group, and how MOD Media Group turned into a partner into Connectors Club. I think that's how we can start it off, because they've been here since the start, so they've seen the evaluation from where we started to where we are now. It's been 1 year, 6 months. Started off with no directors, you remember?
Yeah.
Started doing everything ourselves. And I think everything starts from an idea, and everyone has ideas, but end of the day, it's a matter of how are you going to execute them?
Yeah.
Because right now, Musa could give me ideas, but if I don't go execute them, that means work is equal to zero. And that's what happened with us. I believe in one of the episodes we did talk about on how we started MOD Podcast. It was when we are in Qatar, and the idea just came, and I took the first step to go buy the mics, which you're seeing them right now. And we came back and we started shooting. That's how you saw that execution. And I remember Musa texting me saying, we have bought the mics, there's no going back. So from then, things just started going on. And what I came to realize and understand is that once you have started something and you keep pushing, more opportunities will arise. And that's what happened with us. We started MOD Podcast not knowing that we will start a media group, not knowing that Connectors Club will be formed through this. And there's also more opportunities that have risen through this. We've met more people. We've met a lot of people. We've connected with different people, with you guys. So I can say everything starts from an idea, and that's just a brief of how we got started, and MOD Podcast turned into a lot of things.
You talked about everything starts from an idea, and I'm going to emphasize on that because most people have ideas and some don't even have an idea. So if you don't have an idea to do a business, you don't know what business to get into, I have something for you, because first, ideas are all around us, but they only need execution. But if you don't know what business to do, what business to start today, you can look at trends, market trends. For example, right now, I was watching a video the other day. Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest people in the world, was asked, if you were to start today, what business would you get into? And he answered that I'll look at what's trending right now. Let's say AI is trending right now, so I'll try and start the business based on that trend. So you can either look for a trend and start a business around that, or you can look for a problem, because there are a lot of problems that people are facing every single day. So you can start a business based on solving that problem. So let's say you live in the village right now and there's no water. People are struggling. They say they're walking miles away just to get water. So you can just start a well and then sell water to people. That's one way. And another way that you can have a good business idea is you can look at what other people are doing, but they are not doing so well on it, because there's always a room for improvement. We have been contacted by a lot of people who are watching our podcast who want to start their own podcast as well. So if you want to start your own podcast, you can look at our podcast and you can see a lot of things that we are lacking, but you think you can add them. You can add more value to the community. So you can start your own podcast by looking at our weaknesses and making them your strength. And another way, you can just observe the pain points of people in life. Let's say in your community you have a lot of people who are obese or who are very slim. Then you can start a fitness company to help people lose weight, or you can help people with their nutrition so that they can gain weight. So those are the ways that you can find a business idea. And if you already have a business idea, then just execute it. Just start it. As Monty said, when you started, he took the first step by buying the mics. So the first step is what matters, and then everything else is just a journey that you have to enjoy. There are a lot of challenges as well that we'll talk about. Yeah, but that's how you start. Have an idea and execute it. If you don't have an idea, we already talked about that.
And I believe once you just get started and things start moving for you, like for example for us, we took the first step when we started going on. We came to realize that we're not just doing a podcast or Connectors Club. It's just a networking platform. We realized that we're building an empire of, if you can see from how when we started, the people that we knew and the people that we know now, we're building an empire. So the more you do whatever you're doing, you're gonna find yourself building a big client base or having a chain of suppliers, because you took the first step. So the most important thing is just to take the first step, and then other things will follow through. You just have to keep pushing. As Musa said, there'll be a lot of challenges, but you just have to keep pushing through and see what works and see what doesn't work and learn from them.
When starting a business from scratch, it's not always sunshines and rainbows. You'll face a lot of skepticism. You'll have people who don't believe in you. You have people who don't believe in your business idea, and it hurts a lot because some of those people will be friends, some of them will be family. I remember when we were doing our last event with Vusi Thembekwayo, Connectors Club. So we had a plan and we were going to do it at JNICC, and we wanted more than 1,000 people to be there. I remember I was talking to one of my close friends. I think I shared this story with you, and I told him, so we are doing an event at JNICC and we're expecting 1,500 people. And what he told me was very heartbreaking and also very demoralizing, because he told me, you are charging 100,000 for the event. I was like, yeah, we're charging 100,000 because we have to cover the costs. We are paying a lot of money to Vusi, we are paying a lot of money to the venue, to the team. And what he said is, you are just dreaming and you will never achieve what you want to achieve, and you will never get enough people to fill up JNICC. So just because that friend of mine didn't believe that we're going to pull up with that event, didn't stop us from doing it. Yeah. At the end of the day, we did it, and we had 1,500 people who showed up, and it was a success. So we didn't give up because we had a plan, we had the willingness to do it, and we had the power to execute that plan.
And I think no one's ever going to support you when you start something. Maybe your close friends, Because if you look back at MOD podcast, Make Your Own Destiny podcast, it was funny because I remember we were thinking of ways how to market our podcast. At that point, we were not putting, we had not had a capital investment. So I remember we were looking of ways of how to market without using any money. And what we did was, I remember Musa went on his Excel sheet and I went on my Excel sheet. I don't know if you remember this, but everyone wrote down their followers. And who we can send a message to repost our story. I don't know if I still have it, but if I do, I think we'll put it up. And I remember we had a specific message that Musa sent to around 600 people. I had more followers. I sent to around 1,200 people. And what's crazy is that the more you send, if you send a lot of messages on Instagram, you'll get banned. So we said, let's take a whole month and just send messages. I sent a message to 1,200 people, and I promise you, maybe 5% reposted what we wanted to reposted. And these are people that are literally friends with mine. So I was like, oh, we thought everything's going to be so easy, but your own friends are doubting it, saying, oh. So I remember one time someone told me, it's like, you think you know too much, that's why you're starting a podcast. I was like, no, that's not the point. The point is for all of us to grow. And thank God, where we are right now is, I don't remember the last time I told someone to share something of mine. Everything is shared with them just seeing that. And it's not even your close friends anymore. You see people from outside starting sharing stuff. And when outside people starting sharing things is when I saw a lot of my close friends starting sharing these stuff. I don't know, do you remember when we talked about this? Yeah. A lot of people starting sharing things after people from the outside start sharing stuff. So what I learned was that your own people start congratulating you after the outside people start congratulating you. And that's the honest truth, is that you shouldn't expect your close friends to push you or to say that, oh wow, you're doing so well. No, they'll start doubting you at first, but it is what it is. Like Musa said about Connectors Club, people thought Connectors Club was a one-hit wonder because of the first event that we did, but we did the second one and we did the third one. Now if you're looking at us now, we're collaborating with global figures like Fusi Tembekwayo. We're proving all these doubters wrong, that anything can be done, because people thought that just because Connectors Club is made of young people, that they cannot achieve this. Like, for example, Mr. Bakari Machumu, when he came, he said that Connectors Club should have been an event that was done by a corporate person, but no one thought of it. So we did it, and we were able to do it. So what I can say from that is, no matter who's doubting you, just keep doing what you're doing. It will pay off, I promise you. As long as you have a passion for it and you love what you're doing, it will pay off.
No one will believe in what you do until you show them, until they see the results. And there'll always be skeptics on what you're doing. So how do you handle that skepticism from people? First, you have to accept feedback and embrace it, as long as the feedback is constructive. And second, you need to have a clear vision yourself. You need to believe in what you do. You need to have a proper plan on what you're doing, so that when anyone challenges you, you have a plan, you have answers for that. And also, you have to start small. No one starts big. We didn't start with 10,000 followers. We didn't start with 30,000 followers on TikTok. I remember I was watching one of our episodes, and we were there. Monty was saying, hey guys, thank you for 100 subscribers. You see? So our first goal was 10 subscribers. Then we went to 100 subscribers. Then we went to 500 subscribers, because everyone has to start somewhere. You have to start small and then grow big. And also surround yourself with people that understand you, understand your journey. Not just people who will always be crushing you, always criticizing you, or people with small minds. So you have to make sure that people around you are people who support you. If they don't support you, just move on. You don't need everyone in your journey. And also, you have to believe in yourself and stay persistent. Like, no matter what happens, you have to keep going. As well as, you have to lead by example. Let your work do the talking for you. Like, don't spend too much time trying to convince people to believe in what you're doing. Just do it, and then the results will speak. As we have seen right now, as Monty said, a lot of people never wanted to share, but right now everyone is sharing because it's getting popular now. One person asked me, how do you guys get the funding to start your podcast?
first of all, you have to believe in what you want to do. When you believe in what you want to do, I think the money is an issue because you need money, but you'll be willing to take your own money and invest in something. For example, the mics, I bought it with my own money. I took my money. I was on holiday. I took my holiday money. I didn't go to an activity, and I just paid for the mics. And from there, we said we've started. There's no going back. So whatever came with it, we started boosting our own, using our own money until at some point we started generating income. And then we said, okay, now this is going to help us. This is going to boost us. But from the podcast, I can 100% say that we have generated, I think, 15 cents, right?
I checked yesterday, it's $11.
Oh, it's $11.
Yeah.
So we generated $11, and we've been doing it for 1 year and 6 months. So you can see how long we've been putting in our own money, and that's why I said when you do something, there's other opportunities that come. So the way we started generating income is through our other things that we've done through MMG Productions, for example. MYOD Media Group started generating income. So it keeps us pushing. But what we did was at first was we started using our own money. And if you go down to Connectors Club is a very perfect example of how sometimes getting cash is a struggle. So before we started, I think when we were doing our meetings, we said, I know this person, we know this company. We had over 50 companies listed down that we thought of, if we do this, everyone's gonna sponsor us, not knowing how difficult it is. I remember we kept on pushing to get sponsors. Everybody go, no. And we were like, you know what, let's just put in our own money, because at this point, it got to a point where we were about to give up, saying, guys, the event is costly and we don't think we can do this. And no one's willing to sponsor us. We didn't know how difficult it was. And I remember close to the date, one of my friends called me that I had not even reached out to. He said, can you come down to the office tomorrow? I like what Connectors Club wants to do. Can you come down to the office? And I remember we went down to the office, and the first question he asked was, how much do you guys need to cover all your costs? We were all sitting there saying, what did you just say? How much do you guys need to cover all your costs? We named the figure. He made the phone call, the money arrived. So what I came to understand when I came to realize is that you don't need 50 yeses. You just need one yes for your things to start going through. So what I came down to realize was that you don't need 50 yeses. You just need one, and all your things will start falling through. So that pushed me to just know that if I had quit saying we don't have the finance, the Connectors Club probably wouldn't be here. We would probably all given up, but that phone call kept pushing, and look where we are now.
So a lot of people want to start their own business, but they don't have capital to start. But there are a lot of ways that you can raise capital. For example, you can look around your personal network and see who has money. We all know on our networks who is well off than others, and you can go to them. You can ask for a loan. Hi, give me a loan. I want to start this business. You'll face rejections, but that shouldn't stop you. And another way is to attend networking events such as Connectors Club. I have proof of people who came to Connectors Club and they met different people who became investors in their business idea. So you have to leverage these networking events because they are very, very important. We have met people through Connectors Club that those people have become sponsors for our events. Yeah. And whenever we need capital, we just go to them. As Monty said, there are people who just came just because of networking. We never knew that we would get capital from those kind of people. So that's one way you can get capital. Another way, we all have things that we do not use, personal belongings that we bought but we don't use. So you can try selling your stuff just to raise capital to start your own business. If there's any other way that is nice to raise capital, you can just comment it down below, and we all read all the comments, so we'll take a look into that as well.
I have a question. Yeah. Are you willing to invest in a business?
Yeah.
So for the people that are watching, how can they reach out to you to give you a pitch deck, for example, that they are ready they have a proposal down to you that they want you to become an investor and become a partner in their business. Or more so, MMG could become a partner.
We all have social medias. I have my own social media. Monty has his own social media. We have MOID social media. So you can just reach out to us, bring your proposal. If it's nice, if I see that it's valuable, because me investing money in your idea, I'm not just investing to help you. I'm an investor, so I'm looking that how can I get my money back, how that money can generate me more money, and otherwise I won't do that.
So it has to generate you income.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
And also, I don't invest in startups. I only invest in ideas that have been proven to generate money. So if you have an idea that's already generating money and you need capital to take it to the next step, then we can sit down and talk.
Let's go down to our major failures. I think for us, when you look at MOD podcast, apologies if you guys see me using a lot of reference of MOD and Connectors Club, but I want you guys to relate, because I think it's the one that you guys can know that is visible. I have other businesses that not everyone knows about, so I'd rather talk about things that people actually know about. I think when I look back, I was thinking yesterday when I was sent these, and I remembered when we first started MOD podcast. As I said previously, that was very tough. No one was sharing, so the followers were just going up by maybe a day. There's maybe 3 followers, so it was very tough. We got 100 subscribers. Wow, it was very tough. And I remember I was in the UK. Musa calls me saying we got hacked. I didn't sleep that night. I was like, what? We got hacked. We have to start everything afresh. I was like, what? At that point, I remember I started doubting. I was like, is it really worth it? Because now you have to start investing again into starting something new. It's like, and then he started saying that we should start putting in more money so that we can do marketing and everything. So it was, I think that was one of the major setbacks, I think, for MOD podcast, that was. And we just had to keep pushing. And I remember I looked at it as an opportunity because we knew what went wrong. So we decided that now there's going to be new strategies in place, and it's what got us to now. We have over 11,000 followers. If that had not happened, I don't think MOD podcast will still be here, because I think the growth would have been very small, because I think we were comfortable at first. So that setback was a stepping stone for us.
That was just a setback, and I didn't take it as a major failure, because we pivoted very quickly and we had to start a different page and start promoting it, and that's a page that we are using until today, and it's growing. We also faced some very embarrassing moments, not just failures. I remember one of these days I had a guest who I was looking for him for a very, very long time, but he didn't have time to come to our podcast. And the day finally arrived that he agreed that I'm going to come and I'm going to do an episode with you. So we organized the time and he came to the studio. Just imagine, we were all prepared, and that's the only time that I could get him in that month, because he was traveling. And we reached the studio and there was no electricity. Yeah, that was very bad. That was very embarrassing, taking into consideration that we spend a lot of time and a lot of convincing to have that guest. Yeah. So you always need to prepare and know that there are a lot of challenges on the way. But as we always know, God does not give you a challenge that you cannot face. Everyone is given challenges based on what they can handle. So any challenge that you face, just know that you have to work hard, you have to find the solution, and you have to look up to God to solve that challenge.
As they say, minor setbacks, major comeback. As you can see, United this season did not start well, but last week, I mean, I don't know when the episode is going to come out, but we won 7-0 against Barnsley. That was a very big comeback.
That was a very good win for Manchester United.
Yes, we need
Congrats to Manchester United, because they're not used to winning, but if they win, props to Man United, because even if it's a small league, a win is a win, and it needs to be celebrated. But I, as a Liverpool fan, we are used to winning, so we don't really count that.
Talking about that personal life of yours, supporting Liverpool, which I think, by the way, it's not a good choice. But how do you balance your work and personal life?
That's a very, very big challenge, balancing work and personal life, because there are a lot of things that goes into work. But work is very important, but also you need to live your own life. So there are ways that can help you to achieve that balance between work and life. The first one is you have to have boundaries. You have to know that, okay, this time I'll spend on work, and then set time for yourself, set time for your friends and family. You always have to do that. And also you need to know how to prioritize tasks. When you're working, not all the time everything that you're working on is important. So you need to have priorities. Okay, today I'm going to do this and this on my work stuff, and then after that you need time to sleep, you need time to go out there and network and socialize. But one of the best things that you can do, you have to incorporate your work in your personal life, so that you don't feel like it's really work. And for you to do that, you must make sure that something that you're doing is something that you love, something that you'll be doing every day, and it doesn't feel like it's really work.
But what I came to realize is that when you start your own companies, there's not really a 9 to 5. It's every single day. But what I do personally is that I come to realize that when you're spending time with your loved ones, when you're doing something that you love, make sure you do the most with it. So if you're with your family, use that time wisely, because as soon as a phone call hits, work needs to be done. That's the realistic part of things. At least on my side, that's what I believe. Because, for example, if I was to receive Connectors Club phone call right now, I have to pick it up. Even if it's a Sunday, I have to pick up, because if I don't pick up, who else will pick up? Or MID podcast, something happened. For a person that's employed, understandable that I can say, today's my off day, I don't have to come and work. Or I'm not in Tanzania, I'm somewhere else, it's my off day. And there's nothing much you can say. But when you have your own company, I think it's kind of different. But I think you just have to draw a clear line between your personal and business life. That this is how I live my personal life, this is how I live my business life. But as you said, you need to find a way to just integrate both of them and put them as one. But even on my side, when you're working with people that you're close to, for example, like Musa, and I think this boundary is set even before when we started, that we're very good friends, we're brothers, but when it comes down to work, we start talking work. When it comes down to having fun, we have the most fun, and that's what we have understood, and that's how we live the life, I guess.
Yeah, and one more thing that people really forget and don't do that affects their work and life relationship is not knowing how to delegate. As you know, you cannot do everything yourself. You need to delegate some tasks to some people who can do them better. So if you do that, you'll be able to free more time for yourself and also focus on more important stuff, such as practicing self-care, which means that you have to exercise, you have to meditate, you need to have also your personal hobbies. But if you know how to delegate, it's good for your business and it's good for you to grow.
When you talk about delegating responsibilities, I remember at first, even when I employed someone, I thought I had to do everything. Because I thought if I give someone this work, they're not going to do it the way I want. But then I came to realize that this incorporates with both hiring people that understand the vision. Once you have people that understand the vision, then it's easy to delegate the work. So when I came to realize that I have to let these people understand, when you employ someone, tell them the vision, give them time. Do they understand the vision? So once they understand the vision, then it's easier to say, okay, do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can focus on bigger matters. So I think it was very tough for me to delegate at first, but I came to realize that since we're the one who are hiring, we need to hire people that are understanding the vision. So it became easier to me at some point, and it has allowed us to grow. And I think we're keeping on growing because of delegating responsibilities. We can focus on the bigger picture.
And when you're hiring someone, you need to be very, very careful, because you can hire someone and just realize he's not that serious, he's a joker. I remember when we had our first guy as an employee in our podcast, he was so good at his job. Like, the work was very, very perfect, and we really liked him. But one thing about him, he was not serious about work. He can do what he can do. He was very talented, but he was not serious, and we saw that he was not aligned to our goals. We were paying him enough money. By enough money, I mean the money that he wanted to get paid. But all the time that we want to shoot, he won't be here. And we'll be calling him, and he'll tell you, I'm on the way, I'm coming. But it's a lie. We'll stay in the studio waiting for him, but he won't show up. I remember even Monty asked me, what does this guy cares about? I think he doesn't even care about money. He just wants to chill. He wants to work whenever he wishes. So that's crazy, and that's why you have to be careful. And there are ways that you can use to find the best talents or the best people who you can work with. First, you have to know what responsibilities do you want to give to that person, and you have to be very clear with him that this and this is what you're going to do, and this is what we are expecting from you. You also need to have a budget. As long as you are hiring someone, they will need to get paid at some point. And one thing, I remember we just had someone who is our operations manager on this podcast. He is behind the camera, Mr. J. When he came here first, I remember I told him, the people that we are working with, we want them to be better than us on the task that they're going to do. That's very important. You have to work with people who are better than you, people who complement your weaknesses, not just people who will just be listening and be yes man, yes sir. That's very bad. And also, when you're hiring someone, you have to conduct interviews. I remember we had a lot of people who wanted to be operation manager, but through interviews we had to filter the one that we want and the one that we don't want, and then we ended up having one guy. Another thing, you have to provide proper training and make sure you set clear expectations so that someone coming to work knows exactly what they're getting into. That shouldn't be a surprise when they start working.
When you're hiring employees, it's not about just hiring employees, it's about hiring believers. Because I believe there's some people out there that are working for companies, these big companies, which is understandable, just for the sake of money. That's the biggest motivation. But once you hire people that believe in the vision, the people that understand the vision, the people that trust in the vision, all of you are going to grow. And at some point, when the company becomes big, you're going to be talking different. We'll take it to elsewhere. That is why right now, as Musa said, that person was there previously. I think maybe they didn't understand the vision. Maybe they have some other interests. But the person we ended up going with understood the vision. Even at points where we were very low, he'd push us. He'd tell us, let's keep on doing it, guys. We're not doing what we're doing. Let's keep it up more. Let's do more. So he knows how to push you. You need people that you work as a team. That is how things grow.
Another thing that I think is very important to talk about is how do you scale your business? Because if you're starting a business that is not scalable, that's a very big problem. Let's say you're a barber and you can barb one head per hour. In 24 hours, you can only barb 24 people. That's if you decide to work 24 hours in a day. So you can see being a barber is not scalable because you will reach a limit that you cannot scale beyond that. So one thing is very important: you have to have a business that is scalable. A business, if you can save 1 people, you need to be able to save 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 100 people. Your business will be scalable. That's a very, very important thing as well.
And I think the best way to scale a business is just not through working. It's about building a system that will run itself. And that's one of the things that we are adopting at the moment, is that we want to have a system, and it has already been implemented. It's running itself now to the point where you don't have to be up to do this thing. There's already a system in place. There's already checks in place. So when I say a system, it could be when you wake up, you have to, for example, post a tweet, or before you go to bed, you have to post a tweet, or before when you wake up, you have to post a short. So it gets to a point where it's a system. No one has to be reminded. Nothing has to happen. Whether it's done by Musa, whether it's done by Monty, whether it's done by the director, whether it's done by anyone else, it's well known that when someone wakes up, they have to post a short. So that's already a system in place, that this is how MYD podcast operates, for example. That this is how Connectors Club operates. When we have an event, these are the checklists we have to do. That's a system. So scaling is about building a system that will run itself. That will help you scale as a business.
And as of right now, building a system is very easy. As we know, technology has advanced a lot. So you can use technology to your advantage to scale your business.
But also, I believe you can't scale your business if you don't have a brand. I think the brand is the most important part, and that comes in first. So once you've established your brand and people know the brand, is when things start growing. For example, if you look at MYD Podcast and Connectors Club, they've become the brands that we want them to be because of the mission and the values that we knew what we wanted for them to be. And a brand is not built a day.
True.
It's every single day you have to keep building it. As of today, there's a meeting we're going to, and we're going to talk about how our brand is going to get to the next level. And when you keep bringing in people on, it's because you want them to grow the brand. And I remember when we employed the operations manager, told them the first thing that we want, our brand awareness should be big, because we want everyone to know about our brand. MYOD podcast, what is it all about? Why should people listen to us? Why should people follow us? That is how you make sure people know you, and that's how you can also scale your businesses, through the brand that you have created.
A lot of people confuse between having a logo and having a brand. People think your logo is your brand, which is not true. Having a brand is more than just having a good logo. Don't get me wrong, having a good logo is very important, but there's so much that goes into having a good brand. You can have a good logo, but you have poor customer service. When the customers engage with the business, they're not satisfied. Your business will die, no matter what kind of logo you have. So you have to know your audience to have a good brand. I remember we had a whole episode talking about branding. If you need, just go and refer to that episode. Just check our previous video. We talk about everything you need to know about building a brand. But also you need to have a very strong purpose on where you want to take your business, on how do you want your brand to be. As I said, refer to our previous video. I'll put it down in the description box, how to brand yourself and how to brand your company. We already talked about that, and it was just me and Monty, straight 1 hour of pure value on how to brand yourself and your business. Another most important thing that people tend to overlook is competition. When you're starting a business, it's very rare that the business that you're starting, you are the only one in the market. Let's say when we started the podcast, we had a lot of podcasts that are trying to compete with us. So
No, we did not.
They were not worthy competitors, but they were there. I remember this day we were looking at someone who is doing
a podcast.
And we were just sitting there and laughing because we noticed there's no value that they're sharing apart from asking people what their body counts are, which was which was very funny. But by the way, we already talked about how you can crush your competition in our previous episodes. So if you really need to know how you can crush your competition or how you can make love to your competitors, just go and watch that, because competition has to be embraced. It's not always that you have to kill your competition. Sometimes your competitors can be your collaborators, and you can do
something big. You can partner with
something-
them.
Yeah, something big.
And I remember, I just want to, as Musa said, we can go back to an episode and watch how we talked about competition. But one thing I remember, and one thing that I really liked that this person did, one of our competitors, I can say in the podcast, that they do similar podcasts, and I can say, I don't want to name names, but I remember one day we were searching them up. No, we were searching for our own podcast up. And the first podcast that came up was their podcast. Do you remember?
Yeah.
What they did was, this is how you know, it was props to the person. It was a smart idea. What they did was they ran an ad. When you run an ad, you can decide what people search that you should come up.
Yeah.
They put our podcast. When anyone searches for our podcast, that should be the first thing that comes up.
Yeah.
I was just say, wow, well, that's a good way to use your competition.
Yeah.
But still better. Well, when you come down to the topic that we've talked about today, navigating all the challenges that comes when you start your business from scratch, we've talked about a lot. But for me personally, there has to be that one big takeaway from all of what we've learned and from how we've started all our businesses. I think when I look back to everything we've talked about today, and when I look back to when we started MYOD Podcast, Connectors Club, MYOD Media Group, MMG Productions, it all comes down to one thing, that there's always going to be setbacks, but you just have to use them as opportunities to rise. There's always going to be people doubting you, but you shouldn't let them get into your head and stop what you believe in. There's always going to be financial struggles. There's always going to be delegating responsibilities. There's always going to be hiring people. You just have to come back to one thing, that you need to know what you want to do. You need to know your vision. Once you know your vision, everything will come down aligned. You will know who to hire. You will know how to finance yourself. You will know how to use a setback as an opportunity. It all comes to all of that. So for me personally, from today, my biggest takeaway from all of this is that no setback should stop you. You should use it as an opportunity.
Personally, my biggest lesson that I've learned when starting a business from scratch is discipline and resilience. You always need to do what you said you're gonna do. No matter what, just do it. Be disciplined, always. And then there are other stuffs that you have to start small and grow big. We already talked about that. You have to surround yourself with people who matches your vision. And also you have to take care of yourself. You know, life is not just about business. You have to take care of your physical shape. You have to take care of your mental and emotional state, because if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of your business. Apart from that, just stay disciplined, because that's what will keep you going when you are not having the motivation that you started with.
That was all for today, guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share it to your friend. Today I was just with Musa, and I know there's a culture of answering the question, but I already know who asked the question. I already know who the next guest is. So I think that culture should just be left alone for guests. And if you guys want to see any more of us, what else you'd like to see, or if you have any suggestion, any feedback, make sure you guys comment down below and share it to your friend. Thank you very much. See you guys next time.